Okay,
This
I got someone.
conference will now be recorded.
Oh, okay, well, wait.
Everything working, Glenn?
That's getting awfully picky.
The atomic says 4:30.
That's an atomic clock too.
Yeah. Anyway,
Ask Google.
yeah.
Google, what time is it?
Google it.
I watched this for learning.
Yeah.
Watch this 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now you can go. The atomic clock is.
Okay, all right, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'll call the roll, please.
Counselor Arnold,
Present.
Counselor Moore, Counselor Best,
Here.
Counselor Hildebrand.
Present.
Okay, if I can get a motion for approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda for the Roswell Infrastructure Committee agenda for Monday, November 20th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? Same sign. Okay, so motion passes 3-0.
Can we pop up?
Okay. Okay, if I can get a motion for approval of the minutes, any questions about the minutes before we do that? Do we have any issues with them? If I can get a motion for approval of the minutes?
Move that we approve the minutes from the October 23rd, 2023 meeting.
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. The ayes have it, 3-0. Okay, let's go ahead and go with non-action items, project updates, discussion.
James?
So here's some pictures, an update from the dewatering project out at the wastewater plant. So you can see screw presses are installed in the building and they're starting to run the HVAC system inside the building. And then the next picture to the right is showing the drying bed. So base course is being installed and they're preparing for asphalt. Next slide. Here's some updates from pictures from the North Garden Bridge. So that project is very nearly complete. So you can see in that middle picture, the structure of the new box culvert.
That's the outlet, east side, right?
The east side.
Pretty.
Yeah, so it looks really good. They're preparing for paving as we speak, and the plan is to begin paving tomorrow.
Okay, so
Very.
let me say a couple of things. Our construction superintendent from engineering, that's Thomas in the back, Thomas McAllister, if you don't remember him. He's running the projects, that project and the Mescalero Bridge. Now, we are paving tomorrow on North Garden. There's a delay on the guardrail, so we'll have some temporary barriers, which Water Maintenance Department has graciously let us borrow. So we'll have those. We're not going to advertise that it's open. We're going to maintain the truck detour. But for the local access garden, Thomas is coming in on Thanksgiving Day with the contractor to move traffic control and stuff. So it will be open for the local traffic.
Oh.
So just FYI.
You called it, you said Thanksgiving.
Took a lot. And I appreciate the contractor and Thomas to helping keep my promise. Didn't do it alone. But that's a little sidebar on that bridge. Continue, James.
Next slide. So here's an update from the bridge out on East Mescalero. So you can see pictures of the excavation that was ongoing. And then the bottom right picture, you can see the concrete slab that was poured, which is the foundation for the precast box culvert. Precast pieces are scheduled to be delivered next week. So that project's gonna be moving forward as well. And we'll stand for any questions on those or else on our dashboard.
If you drive by there during the weekend, we turned off the pumps. So our slab is in a water bath right now, which is perfect for curing out concrete.
Any questions? Anyone? Okay. So we'll go ahead and, thank you very much for that. Airport infrastructure.
Jennifer?
Jennifer?
Have ongoing projects. Phase one, rehabilitate apron that's still bonded out there. We will, this later will be, good in 25. Next one is phase two. We're gonna push that a year out as well. The airport master plan, we did get our comments back, both from the FAA and the state aviation, so those have been updated. And we are expecting a draft, facility requirement, to be sent out to the TAC committee very soon. Runway 1735 rehabilitation, that's been reopened to finish the PER. And strategic plan, as of today, I've sent them out the stakeholders list. And we will be meeting with Mead and Hunt on December 5th and 6th. The ILEA HVAC upgrade was installed last week. They are finishing that up this week, and then we'll get some training on it as well. The Southeast Water Line Phase 2 was spearheading that project. HDR is going to be our contractor to design Phase 2. We don't have anything new on the terminal expansion or the air-filled vaults. The vault, I'm hoping that we can start looking at designing in the spring. BLM taxiway and the BLM slurry pit, both of those purchase orders have been given to the contractor, and they have already begun design of both those projects. Several questions.
Madam Chairman, the PO has been procured for HDR for the water line design. They have been issued a notice of award, notice to proceed. They're down for the holidays this week, so hopefully next week we'll have a kickoff meeting.
Any questions? All right, thank you very much, Jeff. Next is the facilities department update.
Chair, I'm seeing the facilities here.
Okay, give me 1 second. And note their absence.
He did submit a report, so you do have a dashboard in the packet.
Yes, there.
In item 5 and item 6 will be Robert Glenn.
Yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to chapter 26, ordinance revisions and water rates. Are you excited? I know you're
Yes.
excited about this one.
Oh, yes.
That's what we love talking about, right?
Hey. So next slide. What I thought we'd do is just make a real quick review of the ones that we've already been through, this committee. Chapter 26, Article 1 is the general provisions. It covers the intent and governing laws, interpretation and conflict, other provisions and definitions. The definitions were expanded considerably from the last time you saw those. It includes all the wastewater definitions too. That was what we had decided, is to just put definitions into one place. Any questions on Article 1? Next slide. Article 2 is the water service. It covers the character of service, private wells, required connections, tapping of the main, customer piping, new connections, interruption of service, limitation on use, rights of egress and ingress and egress, private use of fire hydrants, resale and transfer of water, meters, flushing of premises lines, illegal use of water, and liability for the city for leakage or breaking. There's a couple of things in there that we had changed on the red lines, and I made those changes in what was sent out. Any questions on Article 2? Article 3? Oh, yes.
I don't know that Counselor,
Never saw one.
yeah, I don't know that he's ever seen the red lines.
Trust me.
I was like, yeah,
Never did see the red lines.
not, so,
Trust you.
Yeah, this is stuff that we
Did he
did.
make him a folder?
Yes,
Make him a folder.
I will get a folder to you.
Got a 3-ring binder that
has
the
it.
other councils had it?
Yeah.
We broke it down, month by month, piece by piece, and went over each one of them. But that being said, I just wanted to be respectful of your vote.
There's not a lot of changes from the final draft that you have in here, but the changes that are in there are fairly significant. It was pretty important stuff.
Abraham, I would also request that of you, because we had some solid waste stuff go through here. If you make a copy of make a folder for him, Counselor.
Thank you.
The next slide. Article 3 is wastewater, and it's general provisions and industrial waste. And that was not changed very much, except that the definitions were moved out of this article into the definition section. This one we can't mess around with too much because it's mostly federal law. Any questions there? Next slide. Article 4, establishing, changing, and discontinuing service. First one is application for service. The next one we need to talk about. I've had a lot of feedback and requests to have the rental or leased property accounts. So if you turn to that page, I'll tell you in a second. It is on page 47. Oh, no, it's not.
I think.
What is it?
62 of the
62? 62 on the packet.
Okay, that's,
52 of those.
62 on the packet. 46
The ordinance.
of the ordinance.
Gotcha.
So it's the third section down, section 26, 132, rental or leased property accounts. For rental and leased properties, all city utility services shall be in the name of the property owner. At no time shall a tenant be allowed to establish service for property they do not own. That's a big change.
You deliver water to the property, do you not?
Correct. The reason, and some of this came out of legal too, where if we leave it in the property owner's name, then if there is a problem with it not being paid, we can lien the property. Where right now, we're not allowed, if it's a rental property and the renters don't pay it, we are not allowed to lien the property.
I have no problem with it.
So I kind of need to know if this is okay with you guys or not.
we actually had a discussion on that, a pretty extensive one, because there's, it's hard for, and I know this from experience, it's hard to actually do anything on the water bill, even though you're the one that pays the water bill, if your name isn't on it. So sometimes if there is a problem and you can't get it fixed because your name isn't on it. However, I understand the legality by what you presented here. So it does provide, it kind of creates a catch-22, but at the same time, how do we actually make sure that we're retaining our funds and stuff like that? I did want to point out, and maybe this is, if you'll look at page 62, you'll see the section 26, 132. And then you see it duplicated, section 26.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
That throws all the other numbers off. That's why
That's easy to fix. That's why I have all those reserved at the end of each chapter.
it's very good.
But I'll get that fixed. Thank you.
I Other than,
To leave it there then?
I'm good.
I'm fine with it.
Councilman Best, are you good?
Sure.
So the next one is, talks about infrastructure extensions, transfer of service, permanent disconnection of service, and restoration of service. That, the rental and lease property accounts that was the only major change in that. I wanted to make sure I brought to your attention. That also, we're not going to talk about it right now, but that also shows up in Article 5, which we'll discuss here in just a minute. So we're going to skip Article 5, go to Article 6, cross connections and backflow prevention.
Can you give us a page number?
Page
It's
72.
page 56 of the ordinance.
72 of the package.
Thank you.
Applicability, purpose, adoption of technical specifications, responsibility, requirements. You're noticing the requirements, we've pushed those dates out quite a bit on stuff. That would be it was page 57 of the ordinance, 26204. Some of it's effective January 1st, 2025. We have one effect January 1st, 2034. Hopefully I'm retired by then.
I'll still be here.
Yeah. We did that to meet the spirit of the law. It says this also comes from EPA. And it says that we just have to have a program in place that says that we are moving forward. Let's see, and then it talks about fees, violations and penalties, grounds for termination of water service under Article 6, termination of service, where you can have a hearing for this.
Question for you, Robert.
Yes.
Would you explain to me, when you're effective January 1, 2024, all new and replacement water heaters will require a thermal expansion tank? What is a thermal expansion tank?
It looks like a baseball that sits on top of your water
We
heater.
even had a demo here.
Yeah, and what it does is as your water heater heats up and then cools down, you have thermal expansion that happens with the water. If we put in our new backflow preventer out in the meter box,
Right.
that water doesn't have anywhere to go when it expands.
Okay,
And that's why we're having to put these backflow preventers in, is we don't want water to get pushed back into our system.
right.
And it's in the plumbing code anyway. We should have
It
been
is.
doing it for quite a while.
You just haven't been doing it.
We just haven't been doing it. But Gus has notified all of the plumbing contractors and the contractors and let them know that this is happening.
Okay, thank you.
Code changes we're catching up on.
Or money.
It was something
The
that
customer eventually.
we really didn't need to have it because we had an open system.
Right.
But now that we're tightening up on that, we need to have that to keep us from having problems in the future.
That was like the Christmas debacle of,
Last year,
right,
yes.
yeah,
Yep,
picture put up of it or something.
yep.
Everybody was really upset.
That's the one that, yeah, all the misinformation got put out on.
Yes. Okay, very
But we
good,
have that fixed now.
very good.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any questions on cross connection or backflow prevention? Again, both of these are EPA mandates, so that's why they're in there now. Next slide. Article 5, billing, deposits, payments, rates, and enterprise funds. If anybody wants to throw anything at me, I'm hiding behind Counselor Hildebrandt over here. So we'll start going to this. Request review and have consensus on the draft document. The reason I'm bringing it to you guys for discussion is so we can do any cleanup before it goes to the December 7th Finance Committee for action to go to the council. So that'll give us the time in between to do any cleanup that you guys want to see happen, is what the plan is. Next slide. So chapter 26, this is division 1 generally. It talks about the rendering of bills, estimated use, responsibility for charges. Again, that's one of the ones that got changed. It says that it's the landowner's responsibility. Taxes, fees, and charges to be added to billing. Payment of bills, disputed bills, liens for charges, security deposits, and delinquency procedures. If you want to, we can go through each of those, or did anybody have any questions? How would you like to do this?
Robert, when is the deadline for abstracts for that committee, December 7th committee?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
That's why we're kind of on a tight deadline for this one. To make everything happen.
Good to know that. I think, so were any changes made to section or chapter or article 5?
From what is currently in there,
Correct.
yes.
Okay.
This was kind of a redo of the whole thing, so.
So,
I'm just wondering, you're asking us if we have any issue.
let me get a timeline. So December 7th, and I'm speaking out loud so the rest of the counselors can check and understand where I'm coming from. So December 7th, maybe Finance Committee. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so there'll probably be around the changes there. If there's around the changes there, is it coming back through all the committees or just back to the committee that made the changes?
It would come back,
Or this the changes made into council?
the plan would be made to come back and take it through legal and finance if there's any changes, because infrastructure,
Okay, so there's still 2 more committees to see it before it eventually gets to council.
yes.
So counselors of infrastructure, now you have the time to look at it, make your comments, share them with whoever you want to share them with, Robert, with management, whoever, for those committees.
Finance has kind of gone through Article 5.
Okay,
We beat it up a couple of times.
but it's going to go through there again, then it's got to go through legal. So,
What we're trying to do is set it so it'll go to council in December to set for a public hearing in January to be adopted and then implemented February 1st.
the only comment I have as a city engineer, and I direct this towards management. I know we have 2 enterprise funds that are looking at rate changes. And just as the old dog seen it, sometimes it's better if all the changes from all the enterprise funds are introduced one time.
The issues that I have is we kind of have things built for this to have been approved and implemented January 1st. If we don't get it done by February 1st, we're not going to have the money to be able to finish out the year.
Okay.
Okay, I'm hearing you, but I have to basically express that I'm seriously cautious. A lot of this is a very uncomfortable in decision-making. It's not-
Well, just a question.
Tells me something's up.
You're saying if it's not put into effect, you won't have enough money to operate water fund on a break-even basis, shall they call it,
Correct.
that you're going to need support from the general fund,
That's
To
what the rate
support it.
study showed. Yes.
that was not disclosed at time of budget, was it not? This is new news. in my opinion.
I know I brought it up during the rate study discussions.
Okay.
But at time of budget, when the budget was prepared, your budget does not show that, is my question. And now you're saying your budget was incorrect because you're saying you're not going to be able to have enough revenue to support yourself.
That's what it's looking like.
Now, when was the CPI rate increase to go into effect?
It went into effect July 1st.
Okay. And the next one will come along next July, correct?
It depends. Because if we pass this with the suggestions and stuff I have in it, there is not an automatic adjustment every year. It's actually written into the ordinance that the utility director every January will look at what's going on. And then in April, make presentations to the finance committee as to what needs to happen with the rates and stuff. It's actually, I did write it into the ordinance that says specifically the timeline when that will happen. Because just doing it by the CPI has not done anything for us. We can't even keep up with our debt service and our
Correct.
cost of doing business.
Well, has your rate been set properly?
No, the rate, and that's one of the problems is the
rate's never been set.
The rate's never been set properly.
Because if the rate had been set properly, then you should be able to keep up with it
Yes.
on CPI, but it's not. And the other issues out there in this rate increase are the different components that you presented when we had the public meeting.
Yes.
And I don't see those components.
Which,
The rate, I understood the rate was going to take care of just operations. Then you were going to have a line item for debt service. You were going to have a line item for capital improvements.
yes, and that's still there.
And cut me through that. I don't see. And you were going to make a presentation as well that found some community which had a line item monthly billing that showed all those, the way it would look on a monthly billing.
Yes, and you had asked that in finance committee, so that will be there.
Okay. I'm kind of where Lewis is at. I'm a little apprehensive. We'll get this all completed by and in place February 1. And really concerned that they're going to fall financially short. And we don't know how much that's going to be.
Unless we actually move forward with a rate increase.
And what Lewis, do it all at once, get it done and move on down the road instead of having 3 different rate increases to talk about. You just get it done.
Yikes.
To me, that's the way it should be done, but I'm just the city engineer.
But the number,
I agree with you, Lewis, because as a consumer, how many times are you going to scream? 3 different times or once? I'm not trying to say we're going to try to hide it from anybody, but let's get this behind us. I agree with that.
This was the instructions that I got from the last meeting that we had during this about rates and stuff, was to move it forward. So that's what I'm doing.
and this right here is just a discussion item. It's a non-action item, correct?
Correct.
So we don't
But
actually,
if I don't get consensus out of this committee, I won't take it to finance because it's not worth doing that. I would take Article 5 to finance as a discussion item, but not for an action item. So it's kind of up to you guys on how we're going to proceed with this.
I'll go by based on experience and observation. Right or wrong, doesn't matter. Okay. It gets consensus here. It goes to finance committee, whatever the changes are gonna be, it makes it to council. Council has never accepted anything like this the first time.
The council's also never been given all the information like they have this time.
No, I have to disagree with you. Council, it's hard to agree with something like this the first time.
Here's what I know. I've been, of course, listening to you, Mr. Glenn, for a good minute. And your story is consistent. And it's been 1.5 years or more. So I have no qualms about knowing that what you're doing is trying to resolve a serious issue. It's not easy on you. It's not easy on us. And I do have to commend you for your diligence in actually working this out. At this point, I believe I still have 2 chances to continue to educate myself and get the full picture and make sure I know what I'm doing before I vote. So understanding the rock and the hard place that we're in, because I can always not support it on December 14th.
Well, we can also get the message to finance committee to hold off too.
But holding off does what?
It's just back 1 more month.
Right? And then where does that put us fiscally?
We don't know what that number, we don't know what.
Yeah, we don't know what that number is.
But we know it's basically just, another leak in the pipe.
Yep.
And if we just keep, putting caulk on the pipe, it's eventually going to.
Running out of Flex Seal.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. That I had a friend who used to fix everything with caulk and it didn't work. So that's why I used.
And can you make that boat that they show?
I don't know, that would be fun to try though.
Wouldn't it?
But anyway, okay. So at this point, me personally, I can't speak for the other 2 counselors here, but I don't see an option but to try to move it forward and see what happens.
Do you want to run through this really quick and I can show, I'll hit the highlights on it?
No, absolutely.
Okay. So the rendering of bills, that has not changed. 141 estimated use. Before it said that we could just estimate usage if we had to. This says that we won't do it more than 2 times.
2 times in what period?
2 times, it says estimated use for more than 2 consecutive periods without consent of the customer. The responsibility for charges, that puts it onto the property owner. Taxes and fees, we don't have a lot of choice on. Payment of bills, this is all, we actually gave a little bit more time with the 15 calendar days. We do, if it's not paid in timely amount, a timely fashion, there's a late payment fee. If there's a check bounce, you got insufficient funds there. In the event the city must mail a customer a delinquent account and service termination notice, the city shall apply to the customer's account balance a delinquent account and service termination notice fee as specified in Appendix A, which right now is $10, is what we're asking for. One of the biggest problems that we have is we have people go, I never got the notice. And I swear that the post office has a bin over there that's full of our delinquency notices because nobody ever gets them. Even though I had one lady over there screaming at me that she never got it and it was in her hand. And I tried to tell her, that's what you're holding. And she said, no, it's not. I don't know. So what our plan is these will actually be sent as a parcel in a manila envelope that says delinquency notice, and it's bright pink or yellow or some obnoxious color, and it'll be traced. So we'll have confirmation of delivery from the post office that says it was put in these people's post office box on this date.
And that's the $10.
$10 fee.
Yes, to get all that done, it takes that much to do it.
I was gonna say, I don't think you can do it for $10.
Oh, no, we penciled that one out.
Yeah.
It's like almost $9.
It's not certified mail.
Oh.
That's why we're sending it as a parcel. Then it just gets the barcode put on it and they scan it when they deliver it.
Oh.
It's different than, it's not first class mail. It's being sent parcel.
Okay.
Disputed bills. This requires that if a customer has a dispute that they need to let us know in writing what the problem is. And it gives us the time that we need to fix it. It also says that there's a meter test fee, which we currently have, but we don't use. If the customer wants their meter tested, there's the test fee for that. And if it comes back that the meter is accurate, then we keep the fee. If it comes back that the meter is not accurate, we refund the fee and replace the meter at the city's expense.
Okay, on appendix A. What is the fee for that meter test?
You look on your big sheet, it's on the second page. Meter test fee is $50. Lien for charges says that we can put liens on the parcel that's served. Security deposit, this has not changed much. I will bring to your attention though, number 2 in section 2647, chronically delinquent customers. That's currently in the ordinance. We weren't doing it. We are doing it now. At the behest of the city attorney.
Let me ask you this, Robert. Now that we're going to lien the property and the water billing for these rental properties is going to go in the name of the landowner. What if the landowner has not been, had utility service? So we're going to charge that call him a new landowner, even though that we're changing it over. So they're going to have to put a security deposit. Question.
Well, and it kind of comes up here in section B of 147. City shall establish an acceptable rating with a credit check service, provided the vendor service agreement established by an RFP.
Okay.
So if they have good credit, then no, they don't have to.
Gotcha.
They don't have to.
The answer that didn't.
And that's how that, with the credit check services, all of them do it the same way. We don't, it's a soft credit pull, so it doesn't go against their credit report. And they all do it the same way. We don't know what their credit score is. It comes back either as a red, a yellow, or a green. And that's all we know. Any customer that hasn't been chronically delinquent for 12 months gets a refund, gets their security deposit credited back. And then if they don't pay, we take it out of their deposit. The deposit will be the 3-month is an average of the bill for that class of customer for the previous year. So if it's just a regular residential, we'll figure out what the average bill is, and that times 3 will be what the deposit is for the next year. Let's see, water and wastewater services shall be disconnected at such time when the utility bill becomes 2 months delinquent. Again, it tells us that we can file a lien after 5 months of being delinquent, and the lien shall carry the maximum interest rate allowed by law. We can foreclose on those liens not more than 18 months following the date in which the lien was filed. Any questions on Division 1?
Can I ask a question on that?
Yes.
Is the landlord made aware that he could be liable for a tenant that walks out?
We will, if it goes in this way, we will get the word out
Okay,
heavily on that one. It'll probably include an insert in the water bills, and we'll make sure that we can get it out as much as we can.
I've already heard judges complain about the surprises to a lot of the landlords that they're getting liens on. I just think it's fair for them to know as well. But just a question, thank you.
Yeah,
I mean, it's.
our problem is
Yeah, I know.
we've looked through it, and more than 70% of the delinquent accounts
Yeah.
are rental accounts.
Yeah.
And right now, we're still right around 1.5 million in delinquent accounts over 18 months. Because back in January, 2 years ago, we used the ARPA money and zeroed out all the accounts, all the residential accounts.
So the situation is not improving at all.
And we have continual problem of somebody will come in, they're delinquent. So somebody will get a new rental agreement in the wife's name. We even had one, and I swear this is the truth, we had somebody come in and put it in their dog's name. And, then they run it for the 3 months until they get shut off again, and then they transfer it over to
Yeah,
the.
I just think it's important that the landowner knows
Yes.
that, 6 months go by and all of a sudden he's got this massive lien. He's aware.
Well, and
Maybe he can put it into his rental.
but the landlord will be getting the monthly bill.
Yeah.
Won't be the tenant anymore, so they will know what's going on their property.
Right.
That even makes it more.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else on Division 1? Division 2 is involuntary termination of service. This is failure to pay all water, wastewater, and solid waste fees, charges, deposits, penalties, interest, and so on. Notification. Customer shall be notified, shall be given a minimum of 10 calendar day written notice of termination. So that delinquency notice will go out a minimum of 10 days prior to termination of their service. We're shooting more for 15, I think he said it was 15 to 17 days is kind of the way the rotation's been working now with the way we have it. The customer will know their rights related to termination of service, who to contact, the amount owed. The following shall be cause for termination earlier than 15 days provided, without notice for a condition detrimental determined by the city certified water operator to be hazardous, without notice for use of equipment in such manner to adversely affect the city's equipment, tampering, unauthorized use. We find a bypass, which we have been finding a lot of those lately on the accounts that are delinquent, have been terminated and have their meters pulled. They're putting a slug in there, just a piece of pipe where the meters should be, and just stealing water. When we catch them, Chantel's been taking them to court, and the judge is very aggressively grumpy about those because he just looks at it as theft. Failure to give us reasonable access. Without notice for use of the city's curb or water meter shutoff valve by the customer or the customer's agent. If you read earlier in the ordinance, we did add that an authorized person to use that cutoff valve is a licensed plumber in the state of New Mexico. That way, if a plumber goes there and they have problems, they don't have to call us. They can run the valve. The reason that we did that is they are another licensed person. So if there's a problem, we have a license to go back on. Evidence of waste of water or noncompliance with the water conservation provisions of this ordinance. There's an appeal process there. 164 tells us that we can set up a plan for payment. If the customer defaults is not cured by the date specified in the termination notice, the service will be terminated on or after the day specified, which shall be at least 10 days after the termination notice is mailed. We won't disconnect anything less than 24 hours prior to a city recognized holiday or weekend. So on this, and we've been fairly well doing that now. We won't do shutoffs this week on Wednesday. We'll do shutoffs Monday and Tuesday, but we won't do shutoffs on Wednesday because that gives people time to get their bills and everything paid before the holiday. Seriously ill customers. This was one that we added, that we will not discontinue water service on somebody that's seriously ill, but they have to provide notice from a practitioner that possesses a current unencumbered license by the New Mexico Board or Medical Board, or a current unencumbered advanced practical registered nurse, certified nurse practitioner licensed by the New Mexico Board of Nursing. So those are the who can write those for a seriously ill person. We've had those a couple of times and we just haven't shut them off just because it's not the right thing to do. But now this gives us a way to actually do it the right way. 166 talks about restoration of service. Everything has to be paid. Any questions on Division 2? Division 3 is all new stuff. 180 talks about rate setting. Effective with the rates will change the beginning of each fiscal year. The second paragraph, the utility director shall each January review all costs and rates and shall report to the finance committee at their April meeting proposed rate adjustments to ensure that each class of customer is carrying its share of costs, debt service, and reserves. So that puts it back on the department. It says that we're the ones that are responsible to bring that information to you. So there is not just a COLA increase every year. It's actually what we need for the coming year. The schedule of utility rates, we have access or base fees, and then we have consumption charges. The service categories are single family residential, small commercial, and basically single family residential and small commercial are the same. Large commercial is anything that uses more than 50,000 gallons for 12 months in the rate classification period, which is basically the city's fiscal year. And then we have lawn and irrigation meters. We have those, but we've never had them as a separate category. The big difference with these is it does not give you the first 3,000 gallons free. It charges you from the first gallon that you use. Out of city service is basically anything outside the city limits is charged double. Also, the second paragraph of that, use of water outside the city limits of the city is subject to paramount rights of users within the city. And in periods of water shortage or scarcity, the city council may reduce, curtail, or shut off supply to users outside the city limits. But that actually takes action of the city council to do that. That's one of those things that's just kind of a thing to save us in case we have a problem. Enterprise funds. Let's see. Enterprise funds have been established by the city council for enterprise account and budgetary purpose and will be maintained to account for revenue expenditures of the water activity enterprise and the wastewater activity enterprise. All budgets, reports, audits, and financial operations of the enterprise shall conform to and be prepared in accordance with generally acceptable accounting principles applicable to government enterprise units and other requirements of state law. All revenue for services and facilities provided by an enterprise, including rates, fees, tolls, charges, and all other income of the enterprise shall be collected, used, and expended for activities and purposes for which the enterprise was established as determined by the city council in accordance with and as set forth in the fiscal budget for the enterprise adopted by the city council pursuant to law. That is a long sentence. Rates for service and facilities provided by an enterprise shall be established by the governing board and collected and enforced by the town. That should be city. Restricted funds, this one was one of the important ones. Restricted fund accounts within enterprise funds. The finance officer treasurer shall create the following restricted accounts within the utility enterprise funds. You have the emergency repair fund, infrastructure reinvestment fund, capital outlay fund, debt service fund, and bad debt assistance program fund. And it basically says in the amount that goes into each of those funds shall only be used for what that fund is designated for. Now, since we can't encumber future councils, the last one here, expenditure of restricted funds for any purposes not specifically listed. The council may, by resolution, expend restricted funds for reasons not specifically listed. Prior to approving the expenditure, the city council shall advertise and hold a public hearing specifying the expenditure amount, repayment option, and specific reasons why restricted funds should be used. All such expenditures shall require a 2/3 majority approval of the city council, of all city council members to pass.
Councilman Hildenbrand.
Should just be majority.
The reason for the 2/3 was to make it so you have to, it restricts it a little bit more.
Calling it a resolution, it should be majority.
Yeah.
That's just the different rules. And the other thing is, I see where Councilor Ed's coming from. If this is an emergency or something priority, and you don't happen to have the supermajority because they're sick, they're out of town, don't make the meeting, you might just want to keep it majority.
We have 7 members for this to pass.
It would just be the majority. It's a resolution, so by definition, a resolution is the majority of those there. And I understand both sides, but if you're going after restricted funds, it's probably a good reason, and everybody's going to be on board to go with it.
That's why we're in the position that we're in now.
Oh, yeah.
That we had funds used for stuff that they shouldn't have been used for.
And
That's why this is being presented as it is.
But councils usually have majority sides and minority sides. All councils have had that. No different than any legislation. There's the majority legislation. It just changes historically. Council, you'll vote on it. I'm just giving you my perspective.
That was the direction I was told, was to make it as tight as hard as possible to move money out of the restricted funds. Any questions on that? That was all of Article 5. I passed out the rate and fee schedule. This has not changed since we did the workshop on this. It shows what the current rate is, what the rate increase is, and what the new rate would be. It also breaks it out into the tiers that we had talked about. And then the tiers going out for based on usage. The second page has water fees and miscellaneous charges, and then the wastewater rates have not changed at this point. And that's the highlights. Then we are holding Article 6 and Article 7 for water restrictions for future use and water conservation. That's still being worked on by the committee that we have for that.
Okay. Questions, thoughts? All right, thank you.
So what would you,
This is a discussion item.
but I asked for a consensus so I know whether or not to move it on to Finance Committee.
I gave you my opinion.
Okay?
Councilman Hildenbrand.
Moving on. It
Councilman-
may not go anywhere, but move it on.
You have to move it on. You got to keep everything going.
Yep.
Loves it. Catch-22. That's where we are. So 2 out of the 3 of us.
Okay. I shall do it then.
Okay, so the next item is the number 6 under action items, award I just keep wanting to say VFW. So the VFD installation, water well RW4, which Mr. Glenn, I think you're presenting on as well.
Yes. So this is,
Madam Chairman, should we wait? We don't have a quorum present.
Great idea. Love it. We're going to hold off just a second.
so this is a request to consider award of a variable frequency drive installation and also include a new building at REAC Well 4 to Alpha Southwest in the amount of $592,255.42. The procurement we're using is through City of Las Vegas, New Mexico maintenance contract that was issued under an RFP process. And installation is continued work to upgrade all of the 20 city wells. This will be the 11th one upgraded. This is over what the budget is because we have the bid to do the new building with this. We found problems with the building that we didn't know about before.
Of course.
But we're not asking for any more money. We'll shift stuff around within the budget to make that happen. As long as you guys are okay with that.
So I actually have 2 questions real quick.
Let's see the picture so you guys
Yeah,
can,
okay.
so you can understand. It provides.
Shouldn't have anything to do with pictures.
That's what a new well house looks like. Continue. That's what the plumbing looks like. You see the expensive plumbing, of course, the variable frequency drive. You all know what that is. Start slow,
Those will save us money over time.
lots of breaks.
And that's the existing building now. One of the problems is getting all the new equipment to fit in to the old building. They weren't made to do that. We could make it happen if we had to, but we have the money to do it. We need to just redo the whole thing again. And then I think in the future, that's what the plan is to budget. That is an entire project, the building and everything. We are doing some of the work. We'll do most of the demolition work in that. And then they're just going to do the build.
And the thing is with these wells and the VFDs, Excel's had to go in there to upgrade the voltage. So that's cost us some change orders in some previous ones. We're learning all that, especially in the
How many of those did we do last year? This is not the first time we've seen this.
No, we've been doing this, I think we've been doing this about 4 years.
Yeah. What's the cost in comparison of this year versus the last one?
380 versus wherever you're at right
Yeah,
now.
380 to 5. It was a jump.
Oh,
The 380 just stays in my mind from the last time we were here with infrastructure.
But we're surprised. It was a pretty good jump on stuff because of, piping costs have gone up, copper in the wires. The copper is just outrageous right now.
And anything metal, of course, the metal building is going up.
But that's what we're here to ask for is the approval of this and to be able to move the money around within our budget to cover it.
Okay, so to go back to where we first began, can you please explain how you're utilizing the City of Las Vegas maintenance contract? Can you explain that process to me? Because it is the first
We're
time. I've seen it.
piggybacking off we've been doing that for years. We don't have an annual, we haven't done an RFP for this kind of service.
Mhm.
And with the permission from the other entity, we can piggyback off of that. Very similar to how we use the Mexico DOT statewide contracts for the hot recycle, the striping, same thing. We just piggyback off ours.
If there's another contract out there that is the same as what we're doing,
The same company, or is it through the company or through the City of Las Vegas?
we're just using their
All right,
bid process.
Okay.
Yes.
okay.
But it has to be substantially the same, I think is the way it reads.
And so on balancing out the shortage, I think it was 54,000 was your shortage, correct? Is that what is noted
I
on?
believe so, yes.
Yeah, because there's a note on the bottom here.
Yep.
So you're saying just moving money around?
Yes.
Where
We have money in the budget to do that.
you know where from? No,
I couldn't tell you specifically,
because
but Lorenzo, he does have the money in there. And it wasn't cutting anything else out.
Okay.
It was, I think, some leftover from some other projects and such.
kind of surprising. We haven't had a lot left over. Doesn't help.
yeah. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I don't think there's any money left over from what I heard just a while ago. That we're going to fall short if we don't implement. So I don't know how you're going to have money left over.
Is this,
I just don't see, those are two different statements. One side over here, one side over here. There is no extra money. If we do not implement these rate increases, you said that the fund will be short at the end of the fiscal year. And now you're saying you can move money around?
That's
I'm not buying it.
what Lorenzo said. That's what he's told me.
do we have to go without something?
I'm not sure where he's.
Okay, and this is,
One more question.
yes, sir.
How critical is this to the operation of the city water system?
Pretty important. That keeps us from doing damage to the,
Counselor, I know what you're asking. They don't work for me. But let me give you an example of what I do. So y'all know I have my road fund. And you all know that every year I pick one project that for all my shortages, that's where we steal from.
I'm not against the project, but I'm saying we got some
Well, I-
monetary issues.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm not going to support this until it goes to finance.
I think there was a plan to take it there anyway.
Let me see what the action is on this one, because this one's not mine.
No,
Now, you could, Madam Chair, you could, as infrastructure, recommend it goes to finance and not to council. There's no-
Anything that has to do with dollars, our department takes through finance. Just because we've seen what's happened to other departments and we don't want to get spanked too. So
Well, then I would think that would be our natural course is to assist you in getting it there.
this is also the committee that we report to, so that's why it's here.
Right, do you have any more information to give?
I don't.
Okay,
These do end up saving us considerable amount of money.
okay, so I'll take a motion, either take it as is or to move it to finance council.
I'm sure. Move that, make a motion that we move this to the finance committee for their final approval on the expenditure of the additional funds.
Second. All right. Okay, thank you. So please note that change. Okay, all those in favor to moving this item to the finance, let me actually say which item it is, I'm sorry. To item number 6, award VFD installation water well RW to the finance committee. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, so that means the ayes have it. This will be moved to finance committee. Which meeting will that be? This next one?
Yes, we'll take it through on the 7th.
On the 7th, okay. You guys have all that? Thank you, okay.
Thought it was kind of interesting that some of this stuff is going on the 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, day that shall live in infamy.
It's actually my favorite,
So
I don't want to say it's my favorite word, but that is my,
It is good.
I actually appreciate that. Okay, it's the next item, item number 7, the bid Spring River Trail for rebid.
Okay, Madam Chairman, let me make a statement for all the road fund projects that you have in front of you. So all the road fund projects, we have the road fund, they're all assigned a budget. Now, it is permissible to move money within the road funds to cover the overs and unders. I will have one of these going to finance committee to cover, taking money out of one to cover an overage, but I'll explain that as I go. But all these are road fund. I try to balance everything within the road fund. I always have a project that's the guinea pig or where we cannibalize from as needed. So I'll make reference to that as we go. So right now you have item 8, the bids of residential mill and fill. If you remember the presentation that we did last month.
Orange Spring River.
Oh, no, Spring River. Okay, I was looking at the pictures. Okay, Spring River rebid. Now, the first one was way over. As you look at your packet, we gained about 39,000 by rebidding, but we're still way over budget. So this project here, I'll be asking for a budget amendment to take money out of this, to supplement this project when I go to finance committee. And on the next item that we have, the collector mill and fill, that project came in under. So we'll be utilizing some of those savings to try to balance everything, but all that will be explained to finance. It's all within road fund. But this one has federal money tied in. So we want to expend it, get it built. Talking to all the contractors, the trail projects are just going to go more expensive because it's harder for them to mobilize in and out of the trails with all the trees and everything else. So that's what engineering team is going to have to do as we develop trails. We'll have to develop a different set of budget prices and estimating prices for the trails. And when we do put in applications to the feds, we'll have to increase, instead of asking for 230,000, we'll be asking for 500,000. Might get less, but at least it's less impact to our city budget.
Right.
So what you have before you is the recommendation to award the rebid to constructors in the amount of $316,467.04. And go to full council. I can go to
The finance.
finance. No, I'm taking the finance council, but the consent agenda at council. I'm taking it to finance just because I'm going to inform you guys and let you know that way when I do get to council, everybody, at least I've already had 8 councilors already look at it, or 7 councilors.
4.
Yeah. But that's how I operate differently than those. But I structure my spending differently. I always have a sacrificial project. But your vote.
Any questions? Okay, I'll take a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to send to consent agenda recommended award of ITB-24-003 rebid Spring River Trail 2 project to Constructors, Inc. in the amount of $316,467.04, which includes GRT.
Can I get a second? Okay. All right. That says a lot.
You don't want to second it?
You can second it.
I can, then I'll second. I didn't know I had that power to second. Okay,
There's only 3 of you.
yep, so I'll second. You're telling me though that it is going before finance?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll second that, and so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, that has a 3-0 pass.
Okay. And Madam Chair, what you have before you next is the bids to recommendation to award the ITB 24004 2024 residential mill and fill project to constructors in the amount of $1,030,744.84, which includes GRT. Now, if you remember the presentation I did at last infrastructure, plus also the presentation I did at council, I explained to you how the streets were selected using the condition report and then sitting down between engineering and streets. You also remember we had a monetary and budget amount of $1.5 million.
Mhm.
So we're under here. And so this will fund my 100,000 overrun on the mill and on the rebate of the trails. So
I'd rather you spend that money on roads. Roads are very, very important.
well, it's on roads, but we just, this is to get the trail money and use the federal money, get it out of the way.
But you set aside 1.5 million for roads. And our roads are, as you know, you say it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
they're in terrible shape. And why we didn't do $1.5 million worth of mill and fill.
Well, we're still not
Are
done.
you going to come back and do another 400,000?
Well, I can still do a change order and add to this contract. But for right now, I want to use my savings from this project to fund my
It's not really
trail.
savings.
Yeah, my savings to go with that.
It's doing less work is what it is.
Yeah, but I can still do a change order. My budget is 1.5.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be 1.4. I can still add
You're
300.
going to do the, will you give me a promise that you're going to do it 1.4?
Oh, no, I can't say that.
I can't support this.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay, so I'll take a motion.
Make a motion that this move on to consent agenda ITB-24-004 2024 residential mill and fill project to Constructors, Inc. in the amount of $1,030,744.84, which includes GRT.
Can I get a second? Okay.
And I'll address Counselor Ed, but I just don't want to vote. Go
Pardon?
I'll address you after the vote, because I'm curious.
Is there a second?
No. No second. So therefore,
Okay, so let me tell you, if you don't support this project, because we can always come back within the same meeting on these
We
items.
can revisit it during
Absolutely.
this meeting.
So the reason I said no, I still have another round of projects coming up in January. And the way I look at it, my mission has been accomplished for what I wanted to do with the budget. I always want to do more roads. But I'm going to bid another round of projects and I don't know what they're going to do. And I don't want to give up a project because this project has been fulfilled. I want to give up a project based on a secondary promise that I did here. I want to stick to my original budget, get those projects done as much as I can, get those streets that we've already programmed as much as I can. And hopefully the next round of projects, they're savings and don't have to touch this money. We can do a change order. We do that. You know, that's not uncommon to do a change order to add some streets, especially when we have a little extra money. We did that just recently with the Garden Street, that we had $360,000 of street improvement money from the legislature. You never want to give that money back. It came in light, so we had to work to it. But to say that I can give you 1.4, Counselor, I can't say that 'cause I still have bids that haven't been opened.
I don't think it's fair that you corner him in that position as a staff member, because he doesn't know what this moving engine is doing consistently with the government that comes down to what he can move his money around for.
The other comment that I'll make is if we rebid it, so because council votes it down, it doesn't go, it's likely to go up.
so actually, I'll agree with you, Councilwoman Best. My issue is reflection, transparency. I have truly appreciated your ability to get so much done, Mr. Nahara, but I think the part that actually concerns me is my ability to follow what you did and where you're moving it. Do you have it documented somewhere how you move it or what you use what for what? Is there any way that we could actually understand?
Oh, yeah, because when I take it to finance, I always have to tell them it's coming from this line item to that line item. And I specifically, we don't have any, if you remember on the last, on the other ones, you have any budget attachments on this one? We don't, huh?
Not on this one.
Okay, so if you remember on last month's agenda, in last month's packet, all the items had the last page or the first page was the budget. We highlighted the line item to show that it wasn't budget. So what I do for finance committee, my abstract will have the budget. I'll highlight this project at 1.5. I'll highlight this project that's 236,000. And then I'll just pencil in stuff. Now, Tony from finance, she's tracking all that stuff. Because bottom line, I can only spend my $100 that's in the road fund. And all finance wants to know, okay, Louis, you're over here. Which line item are you taking it from? And it goes just like, I mean, the question was presented to water maintenance.
Right.
He can't answer that because Lorenzo knows where which line item he's going to transfer from, but we're within the same road fund. So that's what I'm doing. But federal money, you don't want to give back.
Oh, I agree with you. We don't want to give federal money back. But how many miles is this $1 million going to do to us?
About 8.
8. So that's $120,000 a mile. Approximately.
Approximately.
How long have we been doing the Spring River? This is the second one, because this is a pet project of the mayor's brother.
Yeah, this is
I don't know if it's a pet project.
yeah, on the Spring River Trail, the Spring River Trail,
Smith and that whole group have been on this.
yeah, the reason I took over the Spring River Trail is because there was actually, the DOT has funds that you can go after.
Yeah.
And there's RTP funds, Rural Transportation Plan, and then ATP, Alternate Transportation Plans. So since I've been involved with it, we're actually moving a mile at a time. And to answer Counselor Bess's question, this is number 2. This will be the second mile. We have another one that we hope to advertise in January. That's going to be the trail connection, you know. And Counselor Bess knows how many versions it took to get that to finally, to get to where we're at. But we'll have to revisit that estimate, and it wouldn't surprise me if that one goes a little over just because it's a trail. But from my point of view, as a manager and the engineering manager, I have my $100 for road fund. I have those streets that are already programmed for this fiscal year. Stay within the budget, build the streets that I promised to build in the budget.
I can support this, Louis, if you'll give me 2 more miles. That'll give you $200,000 left in your road fund.
So you wanted to go to 1.2.
2, yeah, and I'll support you.
Oh, I'll give you 1.2. It's hard to give you 1.4.
But you give me 1.2, that'll give 10 miles to that town.
Absolutely.
I will support that, but I will not support.
Okay. Okay. And then within my budget findings here, I just know that 1.2 is the minimum I can get down to. Chad, you okay? Okay.
You gonna put it in the motion so it goes in the paperwork so you know it's gonna get done?
Yeah, I want to make a motion for this to be $1.2 million approved. So.
That being said, I'm going to put it back out there. Item number 8 for bids residential mill and fill ITB 24-004. I'll take a motion.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the constructor's contract for $1,030,000, $744,84, but with instructions to staff to increase, because you can go back and redo that, go back and increase their bid or their amount with constructors to $1.2 million.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. We have a deal.
Bernadette, you got that?
Yep. So, noting that we are recommending award of ITB 24-004, change from $1,030,000 to intent to increase it to 1.2 million. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
And then the instrument that you'll see how that's verified, our policy is any change over 60,000 has to go back to the infrastructure. So
You can go back and negotiate with these people right away.
Oh, just do a change order, yeah. The hardest thing is Quinn and I deciding which streets we're gonna do.
Well, you got a list. I don't think that's going to be hard at all.
Okay.
Huh?
Cool.
Is this full or consent?
You can put it on the consent, but it's probably going to get pulled, but put it on the consent.
Okay, to be put on the consent agenda, passes 3-0. Okay, so moving to the next item. Item number 9, bids 2024-25 annual maintenance project ITB 24-005.
Okay, Madam Chair, what you have before you is recommendation to award ITB 24-005 annual maintenance contract to Abraham Construction in the amount of $13,532.90, which includes GRT. Well, it doesn't include GRT because this is just to set the award. Okay, so this is just the annual maintenance. So we bid one widget for every item and just establish a unit price. Whenever water maintenance has a break, we got to go back and fix it. They fund the repair. We just, on this one here, we did some repair and the parks paid for it and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's just to set a unit price. As you look at the background, I don't know who that Global Maven Enterprises was. We had no idea who they were. And there was an outrageous amount, but all we're doing is just FYI, this is for the first year. There's a allowed 1-year extension if everybody agrees with it. Extensions don't come back to council. I'm just putting that out there.
But you rebid it with them, correct?
No. So next year, this, in December, we already have it on calendar. We'll get the extension paper that everybody lives with the same prices.
Yeah.
City manager will have to sign off on it, attorney will have to sign off on it, and the vendor will have to sign off on it. We'll have it's an amendment, contract amendment. Yeah. But I just want to make sure you're aware of it.
Thank you, Les.
Yes.
Okay, any questions? Okay, I'll take a motion.
Madam Chairman, I move that we award ITB 24-005, which is the annual maintenance contract to Abraham Construction in the amount of $13,532.90, which includes GRT to be placed on the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor of recommending award of the annual maintenance contract to Abraham Construction in the amount of $13,532.90, the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? 3-0. Let's go ahead and move on to item number 10, bids inclusive park phase.
If you look at your page 97 in the packet, you all know we did the first phase of the inclusive park. As you see the yellow shaded portion, that's phase 2. Actually, we thought phase 2 would be all of it, the whole perimeter of the park. But when we did the estimates of the prices, even before we bid it, we didn't have enough money. So we just did the colored portions. We only had one bidder. No local bidders. No local bidders. And there was nothing special about this one. It wasn't the equipment or anything. So we're just going to go ahead and reject bids. The recommendation is to reject bids. Put it out there again. Hopefully the bids will come within our budget. The advantage, the disadvantage of your disadvantage is everybody sees our engineer's estimate, which basically is budget. And I stand for any questions.
Any questions?
Yes, sir.
I look at this list and you didn't get a bid from anybody local. And I look at this and I go, well, it's an excavating job.
And you can see the bid tab. You're looking at that? Okay.
It's an excavating job. It's a landscaping job. And it's a construction job.
Irrigation system, sodding.
Yeah, and metal buildings. What if this were caught up into 3 different bids on the local level? Would that attract somebody on the local level? That you have a landscaping company here who might get the job? You would have an excavation company who might get the job? You would have somebody who could put up metal.
That
might get the job.
Yeah, that's interesting. We just have to break it up into phasing. And then the other thing I would have to look at, because when you stretch it out like that, it's time. Then I would have to look at the legislative money and see what the time is that I could use, because we already used legislative money from, for the inclusive park phase 1.
Right.
We stole from phase 2 to finish the phase 1.
Right.
So I'd have to see where phase 2 is. There's money there. And then I still have a phase 3 that they funded as well, which is only 200,000.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely look at,
Get an extension on phase 2.
we'll definitely look at that concept.
Yeah, because I just looked at that and, we got a lot of local people that are in the landscaping business, but they couldn't bid on this because they're going to sub everything out. And when they sub it out, they tack on 15% at least to the subs price. And so I looked at this project, and went, this is 3 different projects, at least, maybe 4.
Okay, we'll look at it from that perspective.
We could maybe get local vendors that way to participate on this. Not telling you I run your business, but when I saw you.
Yeah, and there's a local contractor that I thought was gonna bid it because they into landscaping and irrigation.
Yeah.
And then the metal buildings, well, you just throw the concrete.
There's several of them around here who do that.
And
Metal
then,
buildings. So,
okay. We'll definitely look at that.
Any further questions or discussion?
Madam Chair, on the trees, we have a tree farm that's
yeah,
full of trees over there. There's quite a bit of price there with these trees. It's time to transplant them with that spade. That may be an option to us.
We'll look at that as far as transplanting them during the winter and see what that would impact to the grading.
right.
Just, we got them, if we can use them, we want to use them.
Okay.
Because they're getting too big where they're currently at.
Can do that.
Okay. Considering that this is an action to recommend rejection,
It could still go to consent.
okay. Recommend rejection of the one bid received from Mirador Enterprises. I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we recommend the rejection of the bid from Mirador Enterprise from El Paso, Texas for ITB 24-006.
Second.
All those in, to the consent agenda, did you say that? I'm sorry. Did you say consent agenda?
Yeah,
Okay,
I didn't, but thank you.
yeah, okay. All right, so all those in favor of recommending rejection of the bid received from Mirador Enterprises to the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 3-0. Okay, so let's go to the next item, number 11, bids 2024 annual ready mix contract, ITB 24-007.
Madam Chairman Committee, the recommendation or requesting recommendation to award ITB 24-007, 2024 annual concrete for ready mix concrete to Chance Materials of Roswell, New Mexico. We had two bids. We only have two concrete plants in town. As you look at the bid tab, the engineer's estimate is actually last year's price or the prices that we used for the past 4 years. This contract, we awarded the first year, can have 3 more extensions. So we can use these prices for 4 years. You can see what we did the past 4 years, how the prices we were using just on Class A was $105. So we were able to use those prices with Chance for 4 years. Chance again was the lower one this year. So if the economy is rising slowly, we'll strive to have 3 more extensions of this so we can use these prices for 4 years. Just throw that out there so everybody knows what we do on this one. Because you are allowed by statute to have a contract to go up to 4 years. I stand for any questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, any questions? Take a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we recommend the award of ITB 24-007, which is the 2024 annual concrete for ready mix concrete to Chance Materials. This is a multi-year contract. It's a 1-year contract with 3 additional. Be placed on the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of placing the award of ITB 24-007, 3 additional years on the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that motion passes 3-0. Okay, so let's move on to number 12. Resolution NMED grant for large diameter valves. Oh, I love it.
Okay, you see the picture that looks like a 36-inch valve. So what you have before you is the consider resolution 23XX for support New Mexico ED Department capital appropriation project for Roswell water lines and valve replacement agreement SAP 23-H 2393-GF. What this is going to be used for, water maintenance has $1 million of capital project, and we're going to add this to that to hopefully do on Montana, from 19th to Stone Street. Stone is where the curve is, where we fixed it. And engineering is about 60% done with the plans. And we hope to bid that one, advertise for bids in January. And our project estimate would be 1.3, the $1 million of city funds, and then the $300,000 for this agreement. And I believe it's already in the WMT budget. Stand for question.
Any questions? Okay, I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, move that we approve resolution 23XX for support of the New Mexico Environment Department capital appropriation project for the Roswell water lines and valve replacement number SAP 23-H 2393-GF in the amount of $300,000. Be placed on the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor of placing resolution 23-XX for support of New Mexico Environment Department capital appropriation project of water lines and valve replacement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. All right, let's go to the next item. This is the citywide striping PO of purchase order, number 13.
Madam Chair, what you have before you now is consider recommendation to issue a PO for the citywide striping to Sandbar Construction Corporation in the amount of $100,000. As you look at the quote, it's for $96,000. We're just requesting $100,000. The line item that's in the budget right now is $50,000. This is for the striping, $150,000. And we just want to make sure that we get all this done and make sure we have room in case something comes up with extra striping, which usually does. So we're staying within the line item that's been budgeted.
So your line item in the budget is 150, but you want to do
100,000 right now for,
1,000 now and 50,000 next spring.
well, all this is going to be next spring. They're not going to come and stripe now. It's too late.
Yeah.
But I just want to see what jumps out.
Uh-huh.
Not going to do another 50,000, Louis?
Well, crosswalks we can always do, but we're going to see where this is this is road fund.
Yeah.
This is streets operating
All right.
budget. It's not a capital budget. This is operation. We have had to in the past, had to cover some equipment repairs. So we asked for 150 when we had this. We're very happy that they came in this low. And again, this is operating money,
Right,
not capital money.
right.
So I will ask for 100,000. I'm conservative. I try to be conservative and watch my dollars.
Good for you.
And this can go to consent, counselors.
Any questions? Okay. I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the fiscal year 24 citywide striping to Sandbar Construction in the amount of $100,000, which includes CRT,
No.
to be placed on the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay.
FYI, if you look on page 130 of your packet, this is what the road fund budget looks like.
Yeah,
So
that's what you were talking about.
that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Bottom line, I want to stay within my money. But as city engineer, I do want some leeway to have to do some things to stay within my budget and still cover emergencies as they come up.
Okay, all those in favor of recommending fiscal year 24 citywide striping to Sandbar Construction on the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Okay, we're going to go on to number 14, wayfinding professional services.
Okay, so let me just give you an intro on this one because, again, I'm trying to be efficient in time. So what you're recommending is a placeholder for December city council. We have an RFQ out for getting quotes. It's due December 1st, James. So we're requesting a placeholder be done. For this one, it wouldn't matter consent or full, but City of Roswell, as the pass-through entity, got the 100,000 tourism grant. And that money has to be spent by June. And what we're just trying to do is we've got the quotes going. Just want a placeholder. So when we do go to council packet, we will have the full abstract with the quotes were, award letter recommending whoever the vendor was. But I just want to make sure to get it here because time is of the essence.
Yeah. I get it. You got 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's really pushing you.
And what they're trying to do, they want 2 large overhead signs and 2 kiosks. And that's beyond capabilities of my department.
What? I went to you first. I actually,
Well, we're getting it done through you.
I will say that, that there has been a lot of community effort on this wayfinding project. There's been, Main Street Roswell coming together with the COG and the city admin and engineering department. And as I understand, it's the first phase of that is, of course, the gateways. So, questions?
And the city even has a plan coming back to 16. You know, this has been on the table for a long
Been
time.
on the table.
Well, and that's actually kind of how it started. It was Barbara Gomez actually pulled it and said that these are in the master plan. Yeah.
The only thing we've done, the wayfinding, you'll see some of those signs that look a little bit different for NIMI and the zoo and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was funded. Well, that idea came from the wayfinding.
Yeah.
This is basically, and then there was some more supposed to come through. That got stalled, so we're going with this.
A little more artistic.
Oh.
Okay. I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we place this, you want it on the full council, you want it on the full agenda.
Yeah, full
He's
council.
going regular agenda for full council to consider the award for professional services for the wayfinding professional services.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of making a placeholder on the December agenda for full council to consider award of professional services for wayfinding professional services, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes 3-0. Okay, so let's look at the next item is number 15, resolution 3-XX, the SS4A steering committee.
Madam Chairman, what you have before you is Resolution 23YY for support of establishing a steering committee to oversee the process of creating the city's comprehensive safety action plan, which is being funded by our SS4 Safe Streets for All grant. Again, we're kind of moving this one fast. We already had a kickoff meeting with our consultant this morning, Linda, James, and I. We're already working on the members. Planning department member will be Meredith. Engineering will be James. Police Department, there has been a letter sent to the police chief to give us a name. City Councilor, there has been a letter sent to the mayor requesting an assigned or volunteer. And any volunteers out of this council, this committee? We've also sent to Mr. Luck a letter requesting somebody from the school district. Medical health, we're still searching. We have reached out to, on the community equity. We have reached out to Francisco Sanchez Senior. And on the local bicycle pedestrian advocacy, we have our first yes, and that was John Yergi, who's the president of the Spring River Trail Foundation. The steering committee by FHWA rules has to be instrumental in making decisions. So that's we've been kind of picky of who we're trying to get. And by resolution, you have to ratify this committee. And this committee would stay alive for 2 years. It's a perpetual committee by FHWA, but for 2 years. And the idea is we get the action plan, and then we start putting in for funding for safety project, whatever the consultant says is the important thing. Again, I think we've had 22 deaths in the past 6 or 7 years on the streets. The FHWA, this is a vision zero to get the deaths down to zero
For bicyclists?
for everybody. No, this is on the streets.
Oh, just period.
Bicyclists, we've had one, was Judge Jones.
Okay, any questions? Okay,
So again, it's kind of like a placeholder, put it out there, and we're working as we go.
okay, so I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to put on the consent agenda resolution 23 YY for support of the establishment of a steering committee to oversee the process of creating the city's comprehensive safety action.
Get a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of resolution 23YY to support this establishment of a steering committee be added to the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Clerk, will you remind the mayor for a nomination or assignment, however?
Okay, so we have item number 16, 2024 infrastructure meeting dates.
Okay, and this is a yearly thing that we do is infrastructure meeting dates. We vote on the dates for next year. We did this last year. And so here's the dates and the deadline that you have. What this does, this goes to the city clerk, so she has that on the calendar, the master city of Roswell calendar. And of course, you on infrastructure committee already know what your dates are. You can plan next year. And I would recommend this go to consent as well. Well, this doesn't go anywhere.
It's not an agenda item.
An agenda. You just vote. It's an agenda item for us, but it doesn't go to council.
Chair can change whatever they want to change. So it's not an agenda item for the council.
Correct.
Any questions? Okay. Take a motion? Does it require a motion?
Need a motion.
Does it require a vote?
I think we need a motion.
That's the,
It's just set the calendar.
it's the set in the calendar. In the past they voted, but it's necessary.
Okay, well, something like that, would be a discussion item, but
I think that's in chapter 2.
Roger. I think everything looks good on that, so I'm
Okay.
good. All right, so I guess that concludes the action items,
Department report,
department reports. and
they're in your
non-action
packets, and you have 4 departments here.
I think solid waste is gonna do a presentation or a quick rundown.
Hit the slide.
I think he was just gonna do a Rubicon, or do you guys still wanna?
The chair would
Yeah, I will give you a couple minutes on that. I did see this morning at the presentation of the new Rubicon system that they have installed, and it actually is pretty amazing at streamlining the sanitation process. So I think it actually would be intriguing to you.
Community Chair, committee members, we'll try to keep this quick. So the Rubicon system that the governing body approved, this is about 2.5 years in the making, not only from the drivers to the supervisors to the admin staff to bring this to fruition with the support of our management. We're able to find the table. Happened last Thursday. We are now able to, all those single points are pickup points where there's garbage cans that come by and pick up, and then when that color changes to green, it means it's been serviced. So we have the entire system now. This launch, this integration took about 1.5 months from the time we cut the PO to the time we launched it. It was about right around 1.5 months. It's about 17,600 of those points that we implemented. Admin staff, more specifically Debbie, was able to streamline those, eliminate the ones that were necessary, move them to the right position. And as of the 15th, this system is in full effect. Every single driver has a tablet that's integrated in trucks that's connected to the GPS system and reports it to us. Now we're able to track in real time exactly where that garbage truck is at. What is the garbage truck doing? The individuals put their garbage can out, and we see something in the roads, we see something going on the field, we're able to capture it and immediately send it out to the business owner, to the resident, or to city departments or any responsible party that needs to look at it. We're able to pull a lot of data as well, a lot of reports writing from here. Like again, for one of the things that we look at too is pickups per hour. Kind of looks at the efficiency, make sure we're getting a return on our investment. The guys are picking up at a good average rate. Sometimes when those can counts are low is because the truck is down. If you notice there, RL means rear loader, 311. They're doing 15 picks up in 1 hour. So they're moving. So the staff is really moving. Integration with the staff was very positive. We had zero issues rolling out. The staff picked it up immediately. The same thing as using Google Maps, the same thing as using this. On the right-hand side, you can see photos that are coming in from the field as the drivers are coming around.
So if I don't put out my little
So this is
thing,
Lewis.
you'll pick it up?
So this is Lewis's house, and he didn't put his can out. So we're gonna email him directly, say, hey, Lewis, you didn't put your can out, so we passed your house and kids on ghost.
So when I call to complain, you can just.
I'll just send you a photo and I'll.
Okay.
Right.
So we see, we're able to track this in real time. We also did the commercial businesses as well. And we're picking up their emails, their phone numbers, so the manager, whoever owns that business, we're able to tell them immediately, hey, there's an issue with your garbage can. There's an issue with your containment area. We need to work with you. This is one of them. We can send that to them directly, immediately at that moment. If you notice on top, you have the address. This is Holiday Inn Express. You have the time, the date. We're able to tell them immediately, hey, we have an issue here. We service your can. You need to come out here and work with us. That same photo, we can send a code enforcement, so we can go educate them, let them know you have an unsanitary condition. Let's work together and get it done. So this consolidates a lot of things into one system that reports to us daily. This is cloud-based, so we can access it from our phones, tablets. Staff at the solid waste department is already set up in their offices. They have a dashboard where they can monitor the entire progress of commercial pickup, residential pickup, and also roll-off as well. That's a kind of a high-level view. Anybody is welcome to come out. We'll show you in more detail when you come out there. With that, Chair, I stand for any questions.
I actually love the streamlined process. I can see how it will actually minimize hours, create logs so that we can actually report to constituents. For me, I think these kind of concepts and these kind of programs are something that the city should be looking at in different areas just to streamline many of our processes. I think we'll save a lot of resources by considering these type of programs. Any other further comments or questions?
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And Miss Debbie, thank you for all your hard work. She actually put 13,000 of those dots in 4 days? Yeah, so she just was a dot away.
No, I think it's an awesome tool.
Yes. Okay, yes, Mr. Glenn.
Have one announcement real quick. We received legal notification last week and some today from Smart Earth Technologies, the people that manufacture our set valves that we've had such wonderful luck with. They have filed for bankruptcy and they are liquidating and rolling up and will no longer be in business.
We did learn about that in legal. It's an interesting step forward,
So we're trying to figure out,
how to move.
Hess is trying to figure out what happens next.
Yep.
Most likely, as they fail, we'll just pull them.
Another little report. I don't know if you were aware of the power outage this Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, we lost a lot of lights because the power was out and then the backup batteries went out. FYI, we've been waiting since August for 48 backup batteries. They've had the PO. So vendor was talking.
You're gonna get them either.
They say maybe in 3 weeks, but we've been hearing 3 weeks for 3 months, so.
Yeah.
And it used to be before COVID, it was usually 10 days you'd get batteries. So,
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I do have a question. Abraham, how are we running on disposal tonnage? Is this running average? Where are you at with the cell? Are you,
We don't have numbers right now. I can ask our supervisors.
Yeah.
But the last estimate is about a year ago. I think we're about 8 more years.
8 more years? You think this cell will last?
Yes, so right now, we focus on compaction.
Right.
Compaction is a lot more efficient, and we use daily cover, we use tarps, and we use dirt, minimal amount of dirt. Our efficiency rate is a lot higher now than before, so we should be planning here pretty soon, about a year or two for the next.
That new Caterpillar.
All that dozer is wonderful.
Yeah.
Moves a lot of garbage really quick, and it helps cut a lot. I mean, it's done a lot of work for us already.
So it'll save us a lot in the long run, that's what you're estimating.
We're ripping and moving that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I use it to set water line. And
Sure.
as soon as Lewis gets them covered, that's what we like to do, go dig them up.
Lewis will not have enough money for street repair.
Okay, so any other reports? Anyone else? I guess we all have our reports in our packets, so if there's any questions on those. If not, I'll go on to public comment.
I do have one public comment. On behalf of the engineering department, Counselor Best, I want to say thank you you've always been professional with the engineering department.
Thank you.
And we appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I can't remember how many terms you did here at infrastructure.
A lot.
A lot.
Before we even changed the system.
Thank you and good luck, because
Thank you.
I think this will be your last one.
Well, I don't know. They don't sign their little hoopy deal till I think January 1.
Okay.
So maybe
She
I'll.
returned her trapper keeper. Amanda was.
She got a trapper keeper, like in the 80s. Yep.
We're hoping not.
I was impressed. The lawyer was impressed with. Wait a minute.
We're hoping not to have a December meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to tell you thank you now.
Thank you.
So
It's been fun. It's been fun.
We did get some things done.
Yep,
Took a while sometimes, but we got stuff
we
done.
got it done.
That's all, Madam Chair.
Well, that being said, we do need to discuss the December meeting. Is there anyone, because we're considering not having it or having it, so.
We're considering not having it. Water says they won't have anything. Abraham, will you have anything? That's the we did the bids, crashed the bids for November. We're going to advertise in January for other bids. The only thing that you will have, we have stuff in January, but as long as we get the committee going, we'll be all right with our Safe Streets for All, because we're moving forward. We're going hard on that one. We're going to finish that one in 6 months. So a lot of committee meetings, you'll be hearing a lot of us, from us.
Okay, any public comments? Do you have any public comments?
And congratulations, Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, sir.
Have anyone?
Okay, With that, it's 6:29. I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn the meeting if there is not anything else. Okay? Considering the meeting adjourned.